up unless I introduce her. Sure. So you've already had a little taste of Rabbi Shoua Haim, and we were privileged to have her at the WRN convention that I mentioned just a few moments ago. And we're really excited and really thrilled and blessed that she was able to be with us tonight to share a few words. And before she does, I get to brag about her. So, she was born and raised in Jerusalem, and Debi serves as a rabbi and educator at Kabbalat HaNeshama. Has anybody visited HaNeshama in Jerusalem? What? Okay, we're doing a terrible job. We all need to get on our mission and go back to HaNeshama. She has over 20 years of experience as a formal and informal educator in numerous frameworks in Israel and North America and Australia. She's taught, led, and written programs for schools and youth movements, pre-army academies, and museums. Debi's academic journey in Jewish leadership began with the Revivim teacher training program at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. She earned a bachelor's in teaching degree in Bible and Jewish studies, went on to pursue a master's in Bible studies, and then was ordained as a rabbi from HUC-JIR in 2019. She teaches Bible at the HUC campus in Jerusalem, bar and bat mitzvah trope classes. She facilitates women's circles. Her expertise is in spiritual preparation for childbirth and parenting, and she's a prenatal instructor as well as a doula. She lives in Jerusalem with her family and has many dreams for the holy city, such as opening a liberal mikveh and Chevra Kadisha, as well as a spiritual parenting center. So please welcome Debi.
Thank you so much. So the first thing is really toda. Yeah, this is not the right page. Okay. No, it's my, okay. Before I begin my words, I would like to express just how blessed I feel spending this whole week in Metro Detroit, getting to know your city, the inspiring Jewish community as a whole, but Temple Israel in particular. A special thank you to Amy Brody, which is celebrating her daughter's birthday right now, from the Jewish Federation of Detroit. She was actually at HaNeshama 5 months ago, together with a mission, and I got to sit next to her at Friday night dinner, and we connected. And then when I heard we were coming to Detroit, I wrote her, and she connected me with Rabbi Marla and with the amazing staff of this establishment, and I'm just so grateful. I was telling someone I feel such an abundance being here, and I don't have enough room in my luggage. So I might be overweight, but I think it's with good stuff. So to start us off today, I want to ask, what can we learn? Okay, if I had to ask you, each one of you, to introduce yourself only using objects that are in your house, in your home, what objects would you highlight? There are many things that tell the stories about who we are, where we came from, who our families are, what we love, what we believe in. This is exactly how we choose to introduce our community at Kabbalat HaNeshama in Jerusalem when we host and connect with groups. We host over 40 groups a year, teens from all over the country who want to know what Reform Judaism is, because as you know, most of them don't get the chance to learn that in their everyday life. So the first thing that I ask them once they come into our sanctuary is, what can you learn about us from the way the sanctuary is designed? Usually, the teens first notice that there's no gender separation. They notice a big pride flag with a Star of David on it. And they notice a corner in the back equipped with toys for kids to play with. All these things might sound very normal to you, representing inclusivity regardless of gender, age, and sexual orientation, but they are in fact unusual in the synagogue world of Israel. These details tell the story of a congregation which has been creating an alternative reality in Jerusalem for the past 40 years, and we plan on doing so for at least 40 more. The other thing they have seen at HaNeshama for the past 3 years is a huge printed copy of the Declaration of Independence of the State of Israel. hanging from the ceiling, coming all the way to the floor. They almost always ask, what is this doing here? And we answer that we are committed to the messages conveyed in this declaration, as you might have heard from one of the passages. The state of Israel will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all of its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality and social and political rights to all of its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or sex. It will guarantee freedom of religion, conscious language, education, and culture. Kol HaNeshama is, in fact, based on these principles, and we practice them in our day-to-day work, praying together, participating in Tikkun Olam projects, immersing in Torah study, creating family programming, interfaith, and outreach programs to refugees, mainly from the Ukraine and from Africa, and raising money to feed the needy, just as you do here at Temple Israel. We host groups who visit us at Shabbat and offer the experience called Shalom Aleichem, that's where I met Amy, where they come to pray and eat with us at Kol HaNeshama and get to hang out with congregants. We conclude each prayer on Shabbat or holiday with a special prayer for peace that actually also includes a sentence in Hebrew, and some magnets of that prayer are actually available outside at the Oneg if you would like to take one. We see it as part of our mission to remind our government about these principles when they forget. Other parts of our building, which they may not see, but that define us, include our solar panels. I think we're the only synagogue in Jerusalem to have solar panels. And our no paper or plastic dishes policy, as well as a compost in our yard. So now I've told you the story about my spiritual home in Jerusalem. So I want to ask you the same question I asked you before. But what happened when it's not your home, it's the home of the divine? When we consider the biblical belief that the tabernacle in the desert, and then later on the temple in Jerusalem, is God's home, it is interesting to notice that God does not greet the priests coming in, but rather the contrary. The priests must greet the divine. With what? With sacred bread and burnt offerings. This is where we turn to this week's Parsha, Parashat Emor, where we read an ancient bread recipe, even older than Dakota bread. ולקחת סולת ואפית אותה. 12 חלות, 2 עשרונים יהיה החלה האחת. You shall take choice flour or semolina and bake 12 loaves, 2/10 of a measure for each loaf. This ritual is similar to other ancient Near East peoples' rituals where the priests offered bread or meat before their deity, believing that their God would eat it. In the Torah, it is obvious that this is not the belief, but a remnant of it does exist. In Exodus 25, where the special bread is first mentioned, it is called lechem hapanim, literally the bread of face. It is a hard phrase to understand. It could mean the bread that is facing outward. It could mean the inside bread, as the word panim is also inward. But we believe that its original meaning is the bread in which you greet the divine. In this week's Torah portion, we learn exactly how this bread should be set in the tabernacle. And I want to thank Lauren for offering to bake bread. And we have a mini lechem hapanim thing going on. Would you mind uncovering that? So the priest is to place them on a golden table, which you can imagine right here. It's a silver table. Before Adonai, in 2 stacks of 6. Now, we were not able to do that technically, but imagine that it's 2 stacks of 6, and place pure frankincense, okay, so this like slab of something, and warm it up and fire it up above it, and it is called for an azkara, as a memorial. This whole setting used to happen every Shabbat while the temple was still built, and while we no longer have a temple in which this bread is served, and just, off the record, I'm not praying for a temple to be rebuilt. We do serve challah every Shabbat as we continue to seek the face of the divine. So I would like to offer an invitation to revive the practice of Lechem HaPanim in a way that is relevant to our lives. Right now, we are in the midst of the counting of the Omer. As mentioned in our parsha as well, it says, "And from the day on which you bring the sheaf of elevation offering, the day after the Sabbath," meaning the day after the first day of Passover, "you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete. You must count until the day after the 7th week, 50 days. Then you shall bring an offering of new grain to Adonai." Consider a single seed of wheat as it takes a journey of its own. First, still green, wrapped in its protective husk, clinging onto the stem together with its many siblings, slowly changing its shade from green to light brown, as the warm winds of the month of Iyar pat its head, saying, "It's time to grow up. It's time to wake up to this world." Humans then harvest the wheat, and our single seed goes through so much transition in so little time. Separate from the stem, peeled, ground into flour, mixed with other ingredients to become dough, baked in a scorching hot oven, and transformed into bread. How does that single seed feel right now? Is it shaken, terrified, exhausted? Is it able to acknowledge its growth and becoming part of a loaf of bread? Is it able to enjoy the appetizing smell of the fresh baked bread? Is it able to take a deep breath of the air pockets within the loaf? Some days, I feel like that single seed. I look at the burnt agricultural fields of the bleeding land that I was born on, that I choose to keep on calling home. I recognize that many people on this land do not have a home to walk into and are not able to greet or host guests, rather are displaced and disoriented. I think of the people we once were able to break bread with, but no longer can. How many bread bakeries had to close because of this war? How many sourdough starters were neglected because there's no one physically or emotionally present to feed them? I could fall into a dark oven and come out burnt, but I choose not to. I choose and invite you to join me in choosing to be inspired by Torah, inspired to embody Lechem HaPanim ourselves, being present with 11 other loaves of bread representing the 12 tribes of Israel, accepting our role to take upon ourselves to hold warm frankincense that makes the world better. Even when bakeries close down because of war, even when wheat fields are burnt to dust, even when it seems like there is no golden table to set the sacred bread on, even when we are not sure our neighbors are willing to break bread with us anymore, we can always go back to the tabernacle inside. Set an imaginary golden table with 12 loaves of bread, reminding ourselves that the divine exists in the simplest moment of life. Its presence is amplified when we welcome it into our lives by volunteering at the Kemach Club, or smiling at someone we don't even know, or inviting someone into our home so that we can share some Lechem HaPanim with them. And this is where I'd like to take a moment to bless over the bread that we have here. So feel free to join me. I'll just be saying it with no melody to it. פותח את ידיך ומשביע לכל חי רצון, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Make sure you get a piece of that before you leave. And as I told the women of the Temple of Israel at the installation last night, I'm saving you all a spot right next to me at HaNeshama when you come on your next Israel trip. We are the home for you when you come to Jerusalem. We'll show you We'll show you what it means to create a home in Israel, how we practice Reform Judaism. We will show you the bitter and the sweet, and we will welcome you with Lechem Hapanim. I'll see you there.